Hi everyone, welcome back to Call to Mothering. Today I am talking about kids and screen time. These days it is not unusual to see a kid at a restaurant with their iPad propped up in front of their plate at the table, or toddlers being pushed in shopping carts glued to a smartphone. Screens are such a big part of our world today. My own kids use their devices on a regular basis to look up information, do their schoolwork on, and create artwork. But with all that good comes some pretty bad effects. And we live in this digital age right now where screens are very prevalent, and it is a cause, unfortunately, for so much unnecessary stress in our homes. And experts are finding that too much screen time leads to a loss of creativity, overstimulation, and hyperactivity, sleep disturbances, weight problems, and in very young children, changes in how the brain is actually wired. Plus, it's just a fact that children are impressionable and they're prone to copying the behaviors of beloved characters. You probably haven't had to look very hard to see shifts in the moods of your children after they've consumed a lot of TV and video games. And then there is just the sheer amount of information available on the internet these days that can make the most well-adjusted adults anxious. Not to mention feelings of low self-worth in young people that as a result of kids comparing themselves to their peers on social media. So what should we do? Technology is not going away anytime soon, and we can't be completely unplugged from the rest of the world either. If screen time is wreaking havoc in your home, here's some steps that you can take to limit the amount of time your children spend using it. But before we get into that, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notifications bell so you know anytime I upload a new video. First, discuss the plan with your kids. Have a family meeting first instead of just springing new rules on your children. Talk to your kids about how you've dropped the ball and how you all need a reset. Ask for their forgiveness and grace in coming up with different family guidelines. It's important that our kids understand that we make mistakes too. Discuss the problems that you have been seeing with too much screen time and what the new parameters are going to be from now on. Also, provide them with a list of alternative screen-free activities like building a fort in the backyard, riding bikes outside, playing with Legos, building a fort in the backyard, perhaps building an obstacle course for their stuffed animals and dolls, and also just the simple joy of reading. This will help them think through what to do when it isn't time for screens. And you might need to consider yourself, your own amount of screen time, how much time you've been spending on screens. If your kids see you making this effort, they are more likely to accept the change. Number 2 is set realistic boundaries. If your children are used to a lot of freedom with screens, it will take time to adjust. Start by setting a larger limit first, and then slowly ease them into the amount that you'd like them to stick to. You can also tell them something like, these are the 5 shows that you can watch. We'll trade some of them out each week or 2. Figure out whether it would be better for your kids to have a specific designated time for screens each day, and whether certain times of the day are off limits. For instance, you may not want to allow any screen time before lunch. Maybe you'd rather have them wait until they've done certain things first, like reading for 30 minutes or playing outside. In our house, my kids need to do a certain amount of things before they have any screen time. They have to finish all of their schoolwork and do their chores as well before they can have the screen time. And before that means getting on their iPads or watching TV shows, texting. And we have also adopted the principle of creating more than you consume. however my children want to create, whether that's drawing or, building something, whether it's through free play, artwork, or construction of any sort. It should be done more than passively taking in entertainment. As a general guide to any non-educational screen time should be limited to 2 hours a day for kids ages 11 to 13, 1.5 hours per day for kids ages 6 to 10, 1 hour a day for kids ages 3 to 5, and little to none for 18 to 24-month-olds. Whatever you decide, try to stick to that schedule as much as possible. The more you hold your ground, the less that your kids will ask to use their devices at other times because they know what the expectations are. Just a quick pause to let you know that my parenting course is now on sale for a limited time. For only $25, you get access to principles, action steps, and video lessons that will help you turn your children's frustrating traits into strengths, as well as develop a consistent game plan to deal with discipline and start regaining a sense of pride and delight in your kids so that you can ultimately enjoy parenting again. You can get it with the link that I've included in the description below. Number 3 is make it fun. Get your children involved in creating a system of earning screen time. For example, they could earn 10-minute increments for things they get done, like their rooms cleaned, their toys are picked up, things like that. And they may want to even design tickets that they can turn in too. If they stick to the rules, reward them with things like going out for ice cream or snow cones, or throw in a family movie night once in a while, in addition to their regular screen time. The goal is for them to think of screen time as more of a treat instead of an expectation. Number 4 is consider the source. It's also important when you are limiting the amount of screen time your children have, that you also limit the types of media and screen time that they consume. The world comes into our home through screens, potentially exposing our children to all kinds of things like violence, sexual content, negative stereotypes, substance abuse, cyberbullies and predators, misleading information, and also stunt videos or challenges that inspire unsafe behavior. The hard truth is that media exists to sell something, whether that be a product or a message, and our kids are often the unfortunate passive recipients. Now, I know it's not realistic to completely shelter your children from modern media. They are, after all, growing up in our media-saturated culture, and they need to know how to handle it appropriately. So with that in mind, here are some questions to think through as you try to be wise about media exposure. Think, first of all, does this media source have any redeeming value to it? For instance, is there any way that I can use it to illustrate redemption or selfless compassion for others, or taking a stand in the face of evil? Also, ask yourself, are my children unduly influenced by this media source, this movie, this show, whatever that may be, to the point where they are mimicking inappropriate words, phrases, behaviors, after spending time interacting with it? Also ask yourself, what is my child's attitude when they are consuming this type of media? And what is their response as well, an attitude, when they are denied access to it? Has it become an idol in their heart? And lastly, think, are my kids able to articulate what is lacking in this video or in this TV program? If you're a Christian, do they see areas where it both contradicts Scripture and also where it contains elements of the gospel, such as sacrificial love and care for neighbors and enemies alike? So it's important to consider those questions as you think through what kinds of media your children should watch. Like any new change, it will be hard initially to limit screen time and electronics, and your kids may even balk at first, but eventually they will rebound pretty quickly, and eventually they won't even miss the screen time. They'll be enjoying time without it. There have been several situations where my kids are so busy playing or creating or building something that TV watching or video game playing doesn't even happen. And it's so important to keep in mind that in the absence of screens, our children's minds are actually free to actually enjoy the simple things in life and become passionate about creating again. Thank you so much for watching and listening today. And remember, you are not just a mom.